Today I want to show you why I'm not afraid of AI replacing composers, and why you shouldn't be either. In fact, I'm going to give you a simple but powerful exercise that will make you a better composer, one that no AI can truly do or really understand. Stay with me until the end of the video where I'll show you how to submit your own piece to our composition challenge. We've all heard AI compose music, and sure, for simple pop or jazz, it can sound pretty convincing, but it's missing something essential: the human heart and the ability to truly speak the language of music. AI is just good at copying what already works, and a lot of modern pop is already formulaic, canned, and predictable. So really, most AI's competition nowadays is pretty pitiful. When AI composes, it doesn't really think or feel, it predicts. It breaks music into tiny units called tokens, maps them in a huge mathematical space, and picks the most likely next one based on probability. So it's not expressing an idea, just repeating patterns that it's seen before. That's why it can sound convincing, but still feel empty. No story, no emotion, just statistics. When you start writing a new piece, you're facing an empty canvas, and I don't just mean there are no notes, there are no ideas yet either, no words, not even a defined language. Sure, you can follow certain rules, harmony, cadence, rhythm, tension, and release, but you can also break them depending on what you want your music to say. So in this first exercise for composers, we're going to practice turning that silence into music, starting from an image or a story. To show you the process and to spark some ideas, we'll use a piece that Ariel wrote using this exact method. It's called The Girl and the Little Paper Boat, inspired by a series of watercolor images that tell a simple but beautiful story. Before we jump into the full piece, let's go over a few tips and ideas to help you get the most out of this exercise. Unless you're writing in a very specific style like blues or cha-cha, the first time someone hears your piece, there are no words or fixed meanings. The listener learns what your music means as it unfolds. You're not just writing notes, you're creating the language itself. And that's where your freedom lives, in those brand new few gestures, a rhythm, a color, a single interval, the seeds of the world that you're about to build. Let me show you a few techniques that you can use to compose from a story or an image. By the end of this video, I think you'll understand exactly why AI still sucks at composing music. There are two characters in this story, the girl and the paper boat. So for this piece, we used two instruments. The piano will represent the girl, and the cello will represent the boat. But remember, music can go far beyond the characters. It can express emotion, not only from them, but also from what's happening in the story. For example, the playfulness of the girl is built around this motif, a series of short figures based on the Ionian scale that alternate between staccato and accented notes. And the engine of the boat, its heartbeat, will be a simple pizzicato pattern on the cello. And we'll have a theme that represents the boat gently floating down the stream. If you look carefully, you'll notice that this theme is built from several repetitions of the same motif, with small variations each time. Those tiny changes create a sense of movement and unpredictability, just like the little boat drifting and spinning in the water. The cool thing about music is that you can express all of these things at the same time. Unlike regular language, music gives you that kind of power. So in this section, we have the boat beginning to float down the stream while the girl watches it joyfully. Or here, you can hear the boat's engine while the girl tries to imitate the floating theme. Notice how the piano plays a variation of that theme, but it feels a little off. It's a bit awkward, interrupted by truncated, repeated figures. Almost like she's still trying to understand what the boat is all about. Counterpoint is essential here. Both characters should interact, but also remain independent. So now, every time we want to evoke the girl watching the boat float down the stream, we can make reference to both, like here. And we're going to use different harmonic contexts, rhythms, and textures to represent the changing emotions in the story. But everything will come from these three simple ideas and nothing else. Also, the harmonic principles that you're going to use are essential in defining your piece. In this piece, the harmonic landscape is defined by scales and related modes, and modal shifts taking advantage of the interval content of different source scales. And there's a sort of chord-scale jazz approach used throughout the piece. I notated the entire piece with the source scales and the related modes that inform the lines on every measure. You'll see that there are very few chromatic approaches or embellishments. Most of the notes come from the current scale or mode. When you write using this technique, everything becomes about shapes, rhythms, articulations, and accents. The particular notes don't really matter since they are being drawn from the current mode. And yes, this is totally influenced by jazz harmony and concepts, but it's being approached from a completely different perspective. So, for example, if we want to represent the moment when the little girl loses the boat, we can use some beautiful jazz harmony starting on A flat 6, moving to D flat Lydian, and then to B flat Dorian, and so on. And on the cello, we'll switch to arco. Just a few sustained notes as if the boat were calling to her, saying, "Hey, I'm here." But the counterpoint is essential. For example, when they both find each other, we can play piano and cello in unison, like in measure 69. You can also do music painting, like when the boat jumps away from the water. Here we use the whole tone scale and fast arpeggios to paint the scene. We used parallel Lydian structures at the end of the piece to approach the dreamy, nostalgic feeling, like she's remembering the whole adventure. Of course, the more scales, textures, and compositional devices you know, the more that you'll be able to express in your music. So a great step before writing the full piece is to sketch out as many short sections as possible, all using the same basic elements you've defined to express different emotions and situations. And feel free to use tonality, post-tonality, or even atonality, whatever helps you express the emotions that you're looking for. If you look at the piece, the tonal center keeps shifting. There are several new key signatures that appear throughout. That freedom, the ability to move from mode to mode, gives you an incredible expressive range. So make sure to practice creating your variations in different keys and modes as well. So here's the piece synced to the pictures. Listen to how the piano and the cello take on different roles, how the motifs evolve, how the keys shift, and how the textures change, all to tell the story that you see in the images. What you just heard wasn't written by following formulas or predicting what should come next. It came from a story, from curiosity, emotion, and imagination. And that's something AI cannot do. It can process patterns, but it can't decide why a story matters or what it should feel like. That's our job as composers. Every time you write a piece, you're not just arranging notes. You're creating a language, defining meaning, and giving shape to emotion. So don't worry about AI. Keep writing, keep exploring, keep building worlds that only you can imagine, because that, the human spark, is what makes music real. All of our Patreon members will receive the PDF with the complete piece. To enter the challenge, simply add a comment on the Patreon post with a link to your score or recording to share with our community. You can choose one scene, a few of them, or even the complete story, and write your own version of The Girl in the Little Paper Boat. And if you're a member of our Arrangers Circle on Patreon, we'll feature your compositions inspired by these images in an upcoming video. Thanks again for watching. We hope to see you on the next video.